Welcome to Ear Biscuits, the podcast where two lifelong friends talk about life for a long time. I'm Rhett.
And I'm Link. This week at the round table of dim lighting, we're gonna talk about coinkydinks.
Yeah, we asked you, what was the exact wording of the question?
I don't know, I don't have it in front of me. Have you experienced a mind-blowing coincidence? A set of circumstances that are inexplicably wild. Like something you just can't, it's a coincidence beyond explanation. And then my kind of follow-up question is, and what did you do about it? Like, how did it impact your life? I don't know, you just hear stories of people who are like, well, we lived in different countries. And then, well, I did hear this story. You know,
all right.
This was the inspiration for the question. I just happened to be listening to the talk radio a while back, and there was some story about this couple whose parents, I think the guy was like, he fought in the Vietnam War, and he met and fell in love with a woman over there, and then they almost got married, and then they didn't, and then there was no contact at all. And then years later, their kids got married, and then they realized that their parents almost got married. Of course, if they did, they never would have existed.
Right, and then getting married would have been really weird.
That's crazy though. And I remember we devoted a whole episode of GMM to that. Like we set a balloon. We put a note in a balloon.
There's an incredible story
that
and
we
don't remember the details.
We don't need to rehash it because
it's a balloon that went in the air and did some crazy things.
So we asked
brought people together in a really crazy way.
For your amazing coincidences that
well, and let me just say before we get started, that we don't have any balloon stories.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say, before we get started, we don't believe in coincidences. Everything happens for a reason.
I'm just gonna say that
we can talk about
I didn't know exactly what to expect. I'm not saying that
my hopes were high.
I'm not saying that these stories are not amazing, especially to the people who experience the things.
But they did not meet my expectations.
No, I think that it's a different.
I mean, the story I just shared about the couple that didn't get married,
we didn't really get one of those.
And then get married. Yeah, y'all didn't give us one of those.
Well, but I think
so. What we're saying is, you know what? Scroll through your podcast. If there's something else that you were like almost about to choose.
No, I actually have a point. That's not
stick with us.
Gonna encourage them to like make things up next time. And that is, coincidences are significant because they are uncommon. Coincidences are significant because they are rare. It is not every day that you find out that the parents of you and your spouse almost got married in a foreign country. You're reacting weird to what you just drank.
Sorry. Well, I was trying this new type of coffee that you pour a little coffee in the bottom, a concentrate, and then I added cream, and then I added hot water, and I think it stratified because I just drank enough of the coffee to realize that I have not been drinking anything but creamer and water.
Well, that's not bad.
Well, it's gonna be.
Do you need to stir it with
quite
your finger
a grim.
or something?
I was looking for something to stir it with. I looked at your finger, looked back at my finger.
Stir it with your finger.
I looked at the mythical comb here.
Oh, kind of an early promo.
I don't wanna do that.
You could stir it with the back of the mythical brush.
You know what? I'm just gonna drink it. It'll stir up in my stomach.
Okay.
I apologize.
All I was saying is that I'm not surprised that every single person who listens to Ear Biscuits and chose to contribute a coinkydink story doesn't have some mind-blowing thing, because if everybody experienced this, it would be absolutely, it wouldn't be mind-blowing anymore.
It would be normal.
Our minds would just be blown all the time, and then everybody's like, big deal.
That would just be the wind.
But for me, this is more a study in when you just ask an average person, what is their most significant coincidence? It's like, oh, I see how that is really significant to you. I don't necessarily know if this is gonna be featured on NPR, but I also think that I think that we can determine whether or not these are just random coincidences or actual magic occurred.
Oh.
Because I feel like we could be authoritative about that.
Okay. So is it a coinky-dink, a full-blown coincidence, or just unequivocally magic?
Yeah. Right.
And when we say magic, that's just a general umbrella term that don't read too much into that. That could mean is the universe trying to tell me something? Is this a personalized message from God? Hey,
was it orchestrated,
yes.
or as you would say, was it orchestrated?
Orchestrated, yeah.
Or was it just coincidental?
Hit it.
Let's get started with Laura Carlisle. I've been with my partner 4 years, and we constantly find ourselves saying the same thing with the same inflection at the same time. For example, I'll be thinking of something random that has no correlation to him, like, I wonder how snails mate. And next thing, he starts a conversation on how snails have sex. Is it coincidence? Have we just got so close?
Let's not call it snail sex. Let's stick with the word mate when it comes to snails. I just don't think it's dirty enough to call it sex. And I celebrate that there's a dirty side to sex.
I imagine that snail sex is especially dirty. Have you ever looked at a snail trail?
Slimy's not dirty.
Says you.
Hey, they don't need any external lube, I guess. Boy, we've done it.
Have we got so close that we're becoming one, or are we unknowingly communicating silently like the way trees communicate and share with each other through tiny fungal threads under the soil? Well, first,
Laura.
I can answer your question at the end there. Unless you see.
Laura's not afraid to talk about snails, sex, or tiny fungal threads.
Unless you
soil.
see. Now, first of all, what she's talking about is this, this is incredible what they have discovered about these fungal networks that trees communicate with each other. Several podcasts, news reports, articles have been written about this by this point. And the idea that trees communicate with each other and share resources, and the tree that is in need of more sunlight will communicate with one that has gotten more nutrients, and it's all being done through these fungal networks.
Which are the largest living organism on the planet?
There is one that is considered to be, I guess, in terms of just area. If you do not see fungal threads attached between you and your partner, then I am assuming that is not what is happening.
Incidentally, that is how snails mate.
Fungal threads? Because they're so slow?
It was a joke, Rhett. I'm not gonna I can't defend my statement.
Well, but no, is that what makes it a funny joke? Because they're so slow? Like fungus has time to grow on them while they're
either you thought
and grinding?
It was more of it felt funny than you thought funny.
Okay, well, I think it's actually still funny the more you think about it.
Bonus.
This is not magic. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that right off the top. This is not magic. This is just being
if you're thinking about something
place.
And then somebody brings something up, there's something that neither one of you have seen, have identified that you've both been exposed to. It's a coinky dink. It's like you weren't talking about it, and it wasn't obviously you're not both looking at snails mating or one snail that's lonely, but at some point you were both exposed to snails in such a way that something
a sexy snail,
and then something triggered it in each of your minds at the same time, and so on a subconscious level, you were subconsciously triggered by something snail sex related, that then when you have the thought and you made the statement, you're not drawing it back to the connection, but it's there. It's under the roots, it's in the soil.
And I do believe
it's a good analogy.
That snails, otherwise known as escargot when they are eaten by the French.
Leave it to you to consider everything in its final food form.
They are an aphrodisiac.
Huh?
I don't know if that's true or not, but it feels right. So
you're trying to take my joke thing and just
no. This is not a joke. So
exactly, you're trying to assert something in the same way that I make a joke. I bet you it'll just feel funny.
No.
I bet you what you said feels right, but if you think about it, it doesn't make sense.
I'm just giving a plausible explanation for this specific coincidence, and that is
Already did that.
You guys were you didn't give a plausible specific explanation. You said you experienced. I'm saying
give me an example.
I'm saying what they experienced specifically that led to this conclusion, and that is they were watching a program. It was a television show. They call it program in some places.
Okay.
And they were and it was about it was a nature documentary. And there was something, not a snail, but something snail-like, like a slug that makes most people think of snails.
Yeah.
That was featured. They both watched that
right, they
between
did.
48 and 72 hours before this coincidence. Then the second thing that happened was they both saw something about French cuisine and and somebody said something, they, in a long list of things that were aphrodisiacs, escargot was an aphrodisiac. Or it could just be something as simple as they had watched a nature documentary, and then when they were in separate rooms, they began, as partners often do, began to think about what would it be like to have sex right now? Oh, maybe we should have sex. That's one of the things that happens when you are in a relationship.
When you're sexually active.
When you're sexually active, it's like, well,
maybe we should
have sex right now.
We should activate sexually right now.
And so those things got jumbled up in the way that they get jumbled up in your mind before a dream, and they just happen to happen at the same time. I mean, nothing to write home about here. It's just kind of cool that you guys are in sync with each other.
Maybe it's a pandemic thing, but I definitely have seen there's more of that dynamic. It's like, so what am I gonna do now? I'm at home, like I've always been, with the same people I've always been. One of them's my wife.
This is your thought process?
I could have, we could have sex.
That's how your brain works.
And then I send her an email.
From a different part of the house?
That's how we set it up.
Okay, it's very formal.
It's like that way, it's like you got to both, you got to sync your wavelengths. That's best done through email. I call it a naughtygram.
I would think that texting works better in this scenario.
It's not formal enough.
Okay. Well, my dad always ends his text with "Love, Dad," like with a salutation. Is that what they call that? What is a salutation the beginning?
Sign off.
There's an official.
Where are we going?
I'm just saying that you can make a text very formal. You can say, "Dear Christy, I'm in the other room.
Thinking maybe we should
have sex. Sincerely, your husband."
Link.
Shanice, Lost Girl 23 on Twitter said, "Not mine," just to get that out of the way, but my parents were, this is kind of like your Vietnam story, were Flower Girl and Page Boy. Now, we'll come back to Page Boy. To the same wedding because my dad was the nephew of the groomsman and my grandmother was friends with the bride. My parents are not related.
Ha ha ha.
Sweaty emoji, sweaty laughing emoji. They only realized when they got married themselves.
Okay, so they only realized when they got married. There's no connection between the two families.
What about Page Boy? Can we go there? Is Page Boy mean the ring bearer?
I'm gonna say.
Or did they bring a pager to this wedding?
Yeah, I think it's on a pillow, but it's the pager instead of a ring.
Because he's like he was a doctor or a drug dealer. The guy getting married was a drug dealer, and
no, he was just he's EMT.
He's an EMT.
I was a ring bearer in my Aunt Tc's wedding.
You remember it?
No, I don't remember it. Of course, you got all the wedding pictures, and I had a pillow with the. I guess both rings were on it. That's a lot to entrust like a little child young enough to not remember it.
And also, like I'd have trouble not eating one of the rings. The way I was at that age. I would just put things in my mouth.
I mean, I was like,
I guarantee that's happened.
I was 4 years old.
How many ring bearers
I was smart enough
swallow
to
the ring every
eat
year?
a ring.
And then they're like, oh crap, well we have to delay the wedding. How long does it take a ring to get through a toddler's digestive system? Or do you just have the wedding and
Write
then
that
be
down.
like, we'll just do a temporary ring or a pager in this case. Maybe that's what happened.
Were you ever in a ring bearer? Or? How many weddings have you been in, just by the way?
How many weddings have I been in?
Well, you were in my wedding.
As a child, none.
Mm-hmm. I was only in my Aunt Tc's wedding, I believe.
My first wedding that I was in was my brother's. might be the first wedding that you weren't in that wedding.
Well, I wasn't in Cole's wedding.
You came to it though.
Well, yeah, I attended the wedding. I think. It was in Indiana.
In Indiana. We drove to Chicago, remember that?
That's right, yeah.
Unauthorized.
Yeah. That was awesome. Yeah.
We actually drove to Indiana.
We picked up your granddad. He was
On the
thumbing.
Well, no.
I got it backwards.
My granddad picked us up.
Yeah, we were hitchhiking.
We were in Rensselaer, Indiana, and my grandfather, my dad's dad, who lived in Michigan, who we didn't have the best of relationships with. I had seen him maybe once in my life. He decides that he can make the drive down to Indiana to see my brother get married. And Link and I had driven a car from North Carolina to Indiana at like age whatever we were, 17 at the time.
17, probably.
And but then for some reason when we got there, we no longer had use of the car because somebody else was using it, my dad or Cole or somebody.
Yeah, they needed the extra car for something.
And at that point, me and you were like, let's explore this town.
We're not staying here.
Well,
we're not staying here at the rehearsal or whatever.
We drove to Chicago. We did that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying other than driving to Chicago, we were walking, after we got rid of the car, we were walking around in Rensselaer, Indiana, and an old man pulls up and rolls down the window, and it's my grandfather. Mm-hmm. Talk about a coincidence. And I literally have seen this guy once in my life. And he's like, you need a ride?
He knew who you were.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, and we got in there and he was like, I don't know about this town. It's got more churches than liquor stores.
You remember him saying that?
Yeah.
Because I was in the car, I don't remember that. I remember like, wow, to be Rhett's granddad, this is kind of a
this weird interaction.
Cold relationship.
I mean, I didn't know him.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget that line. There's more, I don't know about this town. There's more churches than liquor stores. Like,
yeah,
that was how he judges
revealing.
how comfortable he would be with a town.
Oh, man. And after that, did you ever see him again?
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah. I think I saw him twice. I think I saw him once when I was probably like 10, and then once when my brother got married.
He didn't show up for your wedding.
He did not. He did not show up. I've never even really thought. I mean, we literally had very little relationship with him. It's not like a broken relationship that I used to remember him and it was broken. It was just it never happened. So I don't really think much about it.
Except for that story, which we do think about occasionally.
Yeah, right.
If he wasn't in town for the wedding, that'd be one hell of a coincidence.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Oh, what are you doing here? But again, I think this is a really cool story for your parents, and I'm sure your parents tell this story, Shanice, to friends.
But if you grow up, but if you like, if you're connected to people in a town who get married and then like, well, they didn't realize it until they got married. That's what makes it weird. Like maybe they didn't live in the town or they moved away or something, or I don't know. But I need more details to be wowed.
This is not magic. I mean, ultimately what we're saying is this is just a coincidence. It's cool, it's cute, and your parents, they have a really cool story that they can tell, but it's not magic. No magic occurred here.
I think this is a good one. Jen Everson at Jenny White E, or Jenny Whitey, I don't know, double E at the end. My husband and I went to the same uni. Uh-oh, your British is showing, or I don't know, wherever your non-American use of university.
Yeah.
We don't say uni here.
No, we don't.
It just, it kind of reminds me, it's like saying like any, Audi, or uni. It's like a third type of belly button.
Right, yeah.
My husband and I went to the same uni, but didn't meet during that time. Near the start of our relationship, we were walking past the house I had last lived in, and he told me he had also lived there only 5 years earlier, in the same bedroom. So crazy, what a small, weird world. Well, it's not as weird as if he would have said, you know what, I live there in this room.
And I'm a vampire.
Under the bed that you slept in.
Yeah, right.
And you just never knew it. That's pretty cool. I mean, you get married, you have this, you know, obviously you found this connection, you found your soulmate, and then you realize that you slept in the same place only 5 years apart.
I have a theory here that I think might hold some water.
Magic?
It's definitely not magic. This is all science. Now, having made an ad for sleepbetter.org back in the day to try to get people to replace their pillow, just how many dead skin cells a person sheds.
A lot. Okay.
And
Okay. What's happening?
Recently, I was watching something and they were talking about dust, and they were like, in your house, if you just go up to a shelf, like a top shelf that you haven't been to in a while, and you run your finger across that dust, a very high percentage of that dust, if not most of it, is dead skin cells from the people who live in the house.
Wow.
Now, I just heard that one time, and maybe it's not true that it's the majority, but a lot. And the number of skin, the amount of pounds of skin that you shed in a week, or you just are getting rid of a lot more of yourself than you realize. Yeah. And every 9 years, your entire body is new. Every single cell in your body, even the ones that take a long time to like turn over, like your liver cells, everything is new. So,
wow.
While your husband, now who lived there first? He also lived.
He did 5 years earlier.
So your husband's living in this bedroom. He is just shedding himself all over the bedroom. I mean, he will forever, he's still in that bedroom.
He's shedding the bed?
He's shedding the bed, he's shedding the walls, he's shedding the ceiling. Your husband is all over this room, and it's almost like the essence of husband.
It might be a different bed. I was definitely not the same bedding.
No, it's not, he's the walls.
But the walls.
Walls, the floor, definitely the ceiling. Nobody dusts the ceiling.
Oh.
And then you go.
I do.
Into this room and you live for some specified period of time. And we already know.
Your skin cells and his skin cells make a skin cell baby.
That's not what happened.
You
can't get pregnant that way.
It flies around like a fairy and introduces the two of you together.
Now you're getting into magic. Now, here's another scientific principle at play. I think we talked about this. We tried to do an episode of GMM about this and it didn't work. It was one of those experimental episodes where we had different people wear different shirts and then you smelled them and decided if you were like, we tried to guess who it was, but it was based on a study that had been done, which is based on people's pheromones and sort of like just general body odor. Different people are attracted to different sort of, for lack of a better word, flavor profiles of other people.
I don't think that was science. I think it was just some person who we had on the show who said they could do a personality profile based on what people
That was different.
Like. Okay.
But no, because there was a study that was done where it was like, if me as a heterosexual man who is attracted to women were to smell 10 women's shirts that they had worn, and I rank them according to which smell I was most attracted to. If you were then to show me those women, I would be more likely to order them in my level of attraction to them based on what the smell. Like that's what the study kind of in general said.
Huh.
So what I'm saying is that I believe that
we almost did an episode of GMM called "Do White People Smell Like Cheese?"
We did.
That was pitched to us, but we never did it.
We decided against that.
But spoiler alert, we do.
Jen, what happened in your situation is your husband had shed in the room, and you breathed him in over the course of the time that you lived there, and whether or not you had a natural connection with that, just exposure therapy. Being exposed to the leftover husband that is in that room over the course of the time you lived there, you became primed.
Developed an affinity.
Yes. It's just like when you're trying to get rid of a peanut allergy and you give a little bit of peanut to a person over a period of time. So now it's like her husband is the peanut. She doesn't have an allergy to him. But in the same way that you can get rid of an allergy, you can enhance an attraction. And that is precisely and scientifically and definitively what happened in this case. And that is why you're together today.
I actually wonder if it's the opposite. I wonder if she was still, if she was still living in the room when they started dating, he would have known that.
I was hoping you would back me up here.
I am gonna back you up because my road dead ended. I'm gonna be very
fairly quickly.
I'm just gonna be very specific. I mean, I don't know if it's skin cells, but like,
it is.
I think it's like this, like, even if it was like a scent thing, then when she's Like there's something about that room that like a part of him made the room smell a certain way, and then 5 years later, maybe it still smelled that way, and then she smells him and in real life later, and it makes that, it's just another, it's a comforting connection.
She smelled seashells by the seashore.
We got some other good ones. Are they gonna be magic? I don't know.
It definitely enhanced their connection.
All right, let's talk about this mythical grooming collection because we cannot forget. We have totally revamped the mythical grooming collection. There's so much stuff that it all can't fit in the high quality canvas toiletry bag that is available at mythical.com. But if you go inside of this thing, you talk about lovely scents. This hand lotion has a subtle version of the Mythical No. 9 cologne scent. And every time I see this, I gotta put it on because I love, it's a unisex scent. Oh man, this is not open, I gotta open it.
We got, now you already know that we got the beard oil, which is now a new packaging, but it's the same formula. We have added to the beard line, Beard Balm, which has got a little bit of, I think we added some,
magic?
There's some beeswax. Yeah, we added some beeswax to the formula so that it does the same thing to moisturize your beard, but also kind of helps you shape it. Still got the oil.
We got the Mythical Pomade, and now we've come out with the Mythical Clay Pomade, which for my hair, that works perfectly. We've got the Purely Perfect Peanut Butter Peppermint Lip Balm, but now we've introduced a new lip balm.
We phased out the Wooden Berries lip balm because, let's just be honest,
it didn't taste good.
It wasn't great unless you like the taste of wood in your mouth. And
candy milk.
So now we've got candy milk.
Great taste.
So it's a little bit more palatable to the average palate.
Yes, it's so.
Speaking of wood,
so sweet and milky.
This wet and dry comb brush, the Mythical brush, it's made from wood, guys. So this isn't plastic, this is wood.
The Mythical comb is plastic and it plays a tune because it is musical. It plays the GMM theme song. Which part of it does it
It plays the first half.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a try. I'm not good at it yet.
Yeah, it takes a couple of tries to get it down. Oh, you're putting so much.
You try it.
You're putting so much pressure on it.
You practice more than me. It takes. I mean, it's an instrument. It takes some practice.
Yeah.
You can get even better. Go to mythical.com. Here, put that in the slot. Beep, 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 beep. Ooh,
that was a lot harder.
Worth the wait.
Mythical.com. Get yourself groomed up. Okay,
Nice.
Joe Scott. I only ever washed my first car twice. Both times I did this, I had minor accidents 3 days later. I've never hand washed a car ever again.
Now this is not a
It's an
coincidence.
excellent
This is a
reason not to.
superstition. This is different. This is a superstition. It's a correlation, but it's not a coincidence because you did something and then something happened 3 days later. A coincidence is when like things come together that are completely out of your control and that you can't ritualize it. It's superstition.
I agree, but when was the last time you hand washed a car? Have you hand washed any
Not
of your
in LA.
current cars?
I don't think I've ever hand washed a car in LA, no. There's so many car washes around. It's like, it's part of the economy.
Agreed.
Back home, I mean, with the water restrictions, they wouldn't let you just hose down your car. For lots of time, it's like you can only wash your car certain days of the week. And I'm like, well, screw it. I just won't wash my car. Unless I'm getting somebody else to do it correctly. I mean, I don't want to get in an accident 3 days later either, by the way.
I've hand washed. I probably hand washed my car 4 times since being in LA.
Do you have a brush
Yeah, I went on Amazon and bought like a little like $20 kit that was like a
I know.
bucket full of
Why?
like the thing.
Did you like the idea of washing your own car?
No, there was a specific I know what it was. I know what it was.
What?
I went to one of the normal washers.
Okay.
And some of the drive-through washers, and then some are the like you pull up and you do the spray and you kind of dial in and it's got the brush that the soap comes out of and then you spray it off.
Mm-hmm.
But both of those, both times, because they never get completely dry, I got, and this was like on a new car, I got those
water spots.
Water spots, and you can see it. My car is gray, but it's a dark gray. Your car is like light tan or whatever the color is.
Mm-hmm.
You probably got water spots, you just can't see them. Those water spots drove me crazy, and I was just like, oh, I'll just wash it again, and I go back and wash it again. I was like, maybe it was just something about not drying. No, the same thing happened again. And then I'm going online, and they're like, well.
You have to dry it.
Yeah, I know you have to dry it, but you have to hand dry it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so you bought a whole kit just so you could hand dry?
No, I had to wash the car to get the water spots off.
So you bought a whole kit to wash the water spots off.
And then I was out there and I
then
was like.
it didn't help.
No, it did. And I was like, this is kind of fun. Playing some music, kind of felt like a California guy. You know what I'm saying? Like out in the driveway.
It's an American movie type.
And I was very conscious of the amount of water I use. I didn't use that much water, but I also, I'll pass on this unsolicited piece of advice. I didn't understand how important it was for the temperature, for it to not be too hot and sunny when you're washing your car. I know it seems like something the California guy wouldn't say, but if it's in the 90s and you wash your car, and water spots all day long, because you can't get it off fast enough. You need to wait until it's in the 70s, and you definitely need to do it in the late evening or early morning when the sun is not shining directly on that stuff so it doesn't dry immediately. And that changed my world.
I don't remember seeing so many car washes back home, but out here, yeah, you would go through the thing and then there would be the hand wash part, and then there's like a swarm of people that just hand dry the whole car.
Yeah, you're talking about taking it to one of those places that you get out of the car and it's driven through and then somebody dries it. Yeah, I've done that for sure. Because the ones that like at the gas station that you drive through, don't go to that.
No.
I'm not saying don't go to that because of the thing people worry about with like their paint job. I don't care about my paint job. But I'm just saying that the drying is important.
And there wasn't even a coincidence involved. CV Films at Technoboy 652. Once I was driving in this parking lot and got cut off, forcing me into a curb, which popped my tire. I start driving away and realize that the tire is popped. I like how he's using the term popped. Popped the tire. So I pull across the street into a small parking lot to inspect it. I looked up and I had pulled directly into a tire store.
This might be magic.
Well, that's serendipity, you know. You pop your tire and then it's kind of like, I remember the one time that I was driving, back in North Carolina, I was driving from Holly Springs to Apex, and I got pulled over by a cop, and I had to find the right bit of curb to pull over on, and when I finally found it to pull over, the cop behind me the whole time, I looked up and it was the police department. I was at the police station.
I'll go straight, just book me now.
Yes, I remember that. So I know the feeling. So it's like, you feel the need to explain.
That's kind of a different feeling.
You feel the need to explain. I didn't even know this was a tire shop. I just, it's just here I am.
Well, I think that this is all about perspective. You got the guy who has busted his tire, popped his tire, who pulls in and he's like, isn't this awesome? And this is crazy. This is crazy that it has pulled into this tire place. And the tire guys who work at the tire place are like, oh, there's another guy who thinks it's a great coincidence that he popped his tire on that curb that busts everybody's tire. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think they might have like spike strips. They might be
it's intentional.
Yeah, they might be drawing people in. It might be more than just a curb, you know what I'm saying?
It wasn't just a curb.
It might be
sabotage.
A tire Ponzi scheme.
A tire popping Ponzi scheme.
I bet you they didn't do that. Let's believe the best. I mean, it is a good feeling. Here's the thing that did excite me about talking about coincidences, coinky dinks, large and small, is when you experience it, there's like this elation. It's like, oh, I'm at a tire shop. This is so perfect. Like, this is lined up. that's, most of the time it's like inexplicable, but for it to be so serendipitously service oriented is really nice. But even when it's just kind of crazy, like, man, we were in the same wedding as kids and now we're married. It feels cool. It feels cool, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember the main coincidence that I'd love to hear again is the wild horses one, and we can get back to the tire guy.
Okay, the wild horses story.
Because this one highlights perfectly the thrill of experiencing a coincidence. Like, you may not know the meaning, but you feel like there should be a meaning because it's just so crazy that it happened. And it's a shared experience that when you tell it, it's never as good as when you experienced it. But it brings up other people's experiences, so at least you can share in that. And that's what I want.
I don't remember what year it was. Let's just say 2005. Because it was in the aughts.
Okay.
I'm with my brother-in-law, Chris, in a boat at the North Carolina beach, specifically in the Sound between Emerald Isle and the mainland, near Beaufort, North Carolina.
Okay.
This is a new boat that Chris has gotten, he bought from his brother, I think. So we're kind of like feeling like this freedom of like, man, we got a boat. We can go anywhere on this intercoastal waterway.
Yep.
And that's not like an expression that I made up. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the boat, and you know, the coast of North Carolina has got the Outer Banks, but it's not just the mainland and then like, you know, a long strip of there's all kinds of little islands all around if you look at the map of the coast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some are small, some are big. There's just a bunch of them. And as we're kind of going through the Sound, I see these little marsh-covered islands. Some have trees on them. And I'm like, you know, there's an island somewhere on the coast of North Carolina that has wild horses on it. And Chris is like, no. I'm like, yeah, like there's, I think it has something to do with maybe like the Spanish came over here hundreds of years ago and some horses got out and now there's like a wild population, like
undomesticated,
a herd of wild horses
that
live on some island. I was like, I don't think it's anywhere around here, but there are horses, there are wild horses somewhere. So, I mean, we moved on. We started talking about other things. Mm-hmm. And then we just start going, like he's like, you know, got the pedal to the metal. We're just flying through the Sound. You can't hear anything. We're playing the radio. The whole time we've been playing the radio, but we can't hear anything when you're going full bore. Mm-hmm. And we're going past this island. And all of a sudden, we look to our right and out from like behind a tree, this horse like comes up and turns away sideways so that like we can see the whole horse body.
Wow.
Like it's displaying itself to us.
What did he say?
The horse said nothing.
Okay.
Chris immediately stops accelerating. Yeah. And the boat slows down and we're just idling. And we look at each other like, what in the world? And he's like looking at me like, I can't believe this is happening. Then, because the boat is no longer making any noise because we're idling, we hear the song that is playing on the radio. And the song that is currently playing on the radio is Wild Horses by Rolling Stones.
Crazy, man. That's crazy. And then, do you remember what you did? You just you looked at each other wide-eyed, right? And you were like, are we really here for this? Right?
Yeah, it was mind-blowing.
It's a great feeling.
It was mind-blowing.
It's a strange mixture of what? Awe, fear. There's like a little bit of fear in it, right? It's like you start to feel like, is there meaning?
You have a choice.
Is this a puzzle?
You have a choice in that moment. And the human tendency is to attach meaning to it, right?
Sure.
Of course, it is questionable what the meaning would be. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, what is the
right.
lesson from the universe here? what am I supposed to like write a letter to Keith Richards? Like, I don't know what is the point? We just kind of reveled in the coincidence, and also with, me, and you're the same way, I'm also thinking, man, I've got a hell of a story to tell. He's like, I can't wait till we get back home.
Was it just one horse?
I
Because
think
typically there's like a whole herd.
Well, I think we ended up seeing another one, eventually we saw some other ones.
Sure wasn't a deer.
It was a horse, and it was called Shackleford Island.
And that was it.
Which is known as
You didn't even know that was it, and you were just shooting the breeze earlier, having heard.
I had heard like a radio story about it or something.
But go with me here, because there is something to that, this strange mixture of emotions associated with experiencing something, so wild and so horse-like.
Well, there's
awe.
There's a rush.
That's and a rush that's almost, it feels a little bit like fear, like you're on the edge of a building kind of a thing. There's like a physical response to it.
Do you think, and I don't like to be
like dribble pee in your pants.
I don't want to be overly reductionistic and to say that, and I know that there are some people who try to like point to the very specific like evolutionary advantage that
of meaning making
that led to this. I mean, and I know that there is a scientific explanation for the significance and also the sort of mental response that we get to coincidence. Guessing that there's a lion in the bushes and there being a lion in the bushes that's good. Like that helped you survive. You know what I mean? That's probably overly simplistic. But it could have something to do with that being able to recognize and attach significance to seemingly random things is helpful for your survival. But it could just also be that it just is it helps you connect socially. Because me and my brother-in-law have this story that we'll tell. We will tell if we're in the right place, right time,
I mean, it is, when Christian and I were on our van trip, I think that's, again, I think there were wild burros like throughout like Utah, Arizona, California, a lot of donkeys running around in those open spaces. And it reminded me of the story you just told. And I was telling Christy the story, and I was playing my Spotify playlist, and
the song Wild Asses from Two Live Crew.
The song Wild Horses came on as I was telling the story, and I had not played it. I didn't select the playlist knowing that it was in the playlist. It was a really long, like automatically generated playlist, and it, yes, I was in like 70s classic rock playlist.
But still, there's a lot of music in that genre.
So I mean, we weren't freaking out when it happened, but it did give me a little boost,
Yeah.
It's
yeah, definitely.
I think the main thing is when you experience something, a coincidence, like don't hold back on the celebration part of it.
Enjoy it.
To me, that's the thing. Like squeeze that lemon, milk it for all it's worth. Like, just really smush the teat.
Well, I think that's I think that's why
it's fun. Because like when we'll do that a lot. Like we'll turn things into a coincidence.
Well, that's what I'm getting
this
at.
Fortune cookie is telling us what we should do with our careers, and then our eyes will get big, and we're like, God, what does this mean?
Well, but I'm talking about more than just that, because we were talking about this. We don't remember what the fortune cookie said, but we had a significant fortune cookie experience at some point. But I don't know if I told this
significant
story
enough to remember.
But also at the beach with my wife's family, not on the same trip, but with our friend Mike that we've been camping with a number of times.
Yeah.
And we were eating, and we had finished corn on the cob, and we had all these corn cobs.
Okay.
And for some reason, we just got the idea that we were gonna, from the third floor balcony of this beach house, we were going to throw corn cobs and try to get them to land in the middle of the road between the double yellow line.
Okay, yeah.
Okay?
So this equals
Littering.
a big pile of corn cobs all over a road.
Unless the first one you throw
No.
hits the road and rolls and comes to rest right between the double yellow
The
lines. The first one I threw.
The first one Mike threw.
First one I threw.
First one Mike threw.
And the funny
Mike
thing is
amazing.
Mike has been with me for about 4 or 5 weird things that have happened like that. But what I'm saying is that
You know why? And this is the great thing about Mike.
because I knew Mike would go nuts if it happened.
Well, but also earlier than that, it's like, you know what? This is worthwhile. Like this stupid idea that is on the edge of impossibility is just, this is a worthwhile endeavor. You know, so I'm even celebrating that part of it. You've got someone around who's like, you know what, this is what we're gonna do. And there's something about if you hold your mouth just right, it's like you brought this confidence to it. It's like, I know what the experience of that corn cob landing just right, it would be like. So I bet you, I wasn't there, but I bet you set it up like, we're gonna throw this and you're inventing something crazy. Like it's gonna land parallel right in between.
You're setting something up that's unlikely, and so that if it does happen, it's gonna be awesome. I mean, and then
to happen on the first thing is like, I mean, I assume you erupted in celebration for a prolonged period of time.
Of course we did. And
I also assume you didn't try it anymore, or did Mike say, I'm gonna do it too?
I can't remember, but more recently, Mike came to stay with us at our house we live in currently. And we're like telling the boys stories about, so I can't remember most of them right now. That's the craziest one, but we've done things like that. Usually involving throwing something at something to see what would happen. But
I mean, that's a long-standing tradition. I think it's from when we were kids. I think it's a McLaughlin thing.
Well, I did a lot of things where it was just like, I'm gonna throw this rock at this pole, and if I hit it, the answer to this question is yes. It was kind of my magic 8-ball.
Yeah.
I did a lot of that, but we were telling Locke and Shepard the story, and then it turned into, okay, we're gonna throw the basketball on top of the house, and it's gonna come down and bounce once and then bank into the basket, the basketball goal. And it did not happen on the first try, but we committed and we took like an hour and we finally got it. And because our roof is terracotta, so you can't predict the bounce of the basketball.
It's got a plinko
so
nature.
Anyway, but yeah, so I love setting that stuff up just because it's cool, and for me, it's about the connection.
Yeah,
that's somebody else.
Yeah, that's the great thing.
If you're just by yourself,
if it happens by yourself,
not any fun.
It's just a little freaky.
You might connect by telling a story about it later, but
I got nothing else to say about the tire story. Let's go to mythical crew members. I guess Kiko put this to crew members. Oh, maybe they follow us on Twitter. You know, I mean, it's not a prerequisite for working for us, but. Hey, do you follow employees? Because I, as a policy, don't.
I have
we haven't discussed this.
I have a general policy of not following employees, but I realized that it wasn't always my policy. And so there was a time in which I did follow some people. And then it's like, if somebody's been with us for a really long time, sometimes I'll be like, maybe I should. I don't have a good policy on this, but I probably should I should have a policy. You don't follow anybody. As a policy?
No, I don't.
I think my policy is not great because it can open me up to favoritism. It seems like I'm showing favoritism.
Yeah, you got to go in there and unfollow people. Unfollow the people who work for you.
Okay, all right.
It's a personal professional boundary. But I mean, that being said, you're still being watched. And I'm talking to you, mythical crew members.
Oh yeah, right.
Annalise, producer on Mythical Kitchen now. Okay, yeah. She tweeted a shortened version of this, but I know the complete story because I watched the Chase hosted Good Mythical Crew podcast that's exclusively on the Mythical Society. And Annalise was one of the producers on, but like people who were fans first and then became employees. That's the episode they did, and I really I mean, you got a kick out of that, but she tells the story of, and I'm gonna mess it up, but I'm pretty sure she just moved to LA. She moved in with a roommate. She did not know this roommate, if I remember correctly. And then she she was a fan of ours, and we were making that Lionel Richie, we sing all night long, Lionel Richie's All Night Long. And at one point, even though we were filming it constantly for like all 11 hours, at one point we go into this house party and there's all these people that we wanted to come out. So we put a call out to fans in the LA area who wanted to show up at like 2 a.m. at this house that we were gonna walk through singing all night long, and they were gonna start singing along with us. And that's a big scene in the video. And Annalise is just a fan, and she's like, oh wow, I just moved, I'm just moving in today, and tonight is when I gotta go. And she's like, I know this sounds weird, you're my new roommate. And she like tells her roommate that she's like, I'm fans of these guys, they're doing this music video. So I'm gonna be going to this house party music video thing at like 3 a.m. And her roommate's like, I'll go with you. And this is like when they first met. So they both go, and yeah, she tweeted, I was at Rhett and Link's All Night Long, 4 a.m. house party, 4 a.m., playing a kazoo, and now I work for them.
And
we did not hire her that night. We didn't meet her that night, but you can see her in the music video.
Somebody had to coordinate what the crowd would do when we walked in, because we couldn't not walk. We couldn't.
Yeah, there were people. We had someone there who was like organizing the crowd and getting them.
When we walked in,
getting them to
rehearse,
getting them to rehearse and everything.
Because we left the house, went into the front yard, and then went out on the street.
And they followed us down the street
in the middle of the night in this neighborhood.
Yeah, and then we got in a car and kept going.
I'm sure we made some people mad.
It was wild.
But Annalise is in the video, right? If you watch that scene, you can see her in the video.
And then years later,
because that was a long time ago.
Yeah, she works for us.
It's quite. I mean, I think that might be magic.
And she did not tell the story in her job interview, which wasn't with us. So she didn't get any brownie points for that.
That's probably. You know what? It's probably wise to not tell that kind of story in your job interview.
Yeah.
Like I got a weird call from Rhett and Link years ago to show up at a house at 4 a.m. and I did.
Unless you showed up on a wild horse. Read Jenna's.
Okay, I got to bring this closer to me because
it's fine print.
The text is small. Jenna, who works for us, LOL, I have a good coincidence story that guys might like. A few years ago, after taking a break from assistant work for about a year, I thought to myself that I was ready to maybe assist again if I liked who I worked for. I didn't tell anyone.
Didn't tell anyone.
The next day, my best friend Laura texted me about these two men.
Two men.
Whose hair and makeup she was doing for their show. Talking about needing an assistant, she threw my name out there. Those men were Rhett and Link.
What?
First of all, I just appreciate she's saying those men. You know, we get called boys a lot. And sometimes guys.
Yeah.
Those men, Rhett and Link.
Well, that's part of her, her job requirement.
We told her that she has to
remember one of the
that.
First things we told her is that always refer to us as men.
The men.
Because somebody needs to.
Well, this is a coincidence that I'm very glad worked out. In fact.
I mean, she didn't tell anybody. She didn't even tell Laura.
In her job interview, well, first of all, she was recommended by Laura, who we trusted and spent a lot of time with, and especially in when it comes to having someone who's going to be, well, yeah, I was going to move beyond that to say somebody who's your assistant. There's got to be the ability to kind of click with them personally.
Yeah,
and not only did they have to be good at their job, but you need to be able to get along with them, and. Laura just kind of saw, she was like, you know who would be perfect for this? And so that did a lot to kind of prepare us for liking Jenna. And then her job interview was essentially coming to the mythical Christmas party that year.
She was Laura's guest.
+1.
Yeah.
And of course, I felt a little bit awkward about meeting her at this party into her interview, but of course you didn't.
No, I didn't. I was like, what else am I gonna do here?
So we kind of conducted the interview
Let's get this over with.
in a loud bar where there was a guy in the corner doing bonsai because we thought that would be funny.
It was kind of nice because, I mean, Christy was there for it, and then Christy ended up talking to her and Laura more. And so it was like.
Because Jesse and Christy needed to also like Jenna.
Yeah, that's true. And just like.
She was gonna be working with them too. And it all worked out.
But I didn't know that Jenna wasn't looking for an assistant job until like in her mind the day before. So,
right.
And you know what? It's worked out.
Yeah.
Kiko, producer of this podcast, who's sitting behind that in the glass booth over there. 4 years ago, it was a Friday before I was gonna start my new job at Mythical. I had the day off, so I hit up my college friend of 10 years to see if she wanted to hang out. She told me that she was waiting for a meeting with this company that she had been freelancing for the past few weeks, and she was gonna find out if she was going to be brought on full time. I got really excited and told her I was gonna start a new job on Monday too. I asked what company, to which she responded,
Mythical Entertainment.
Although Maggie and I have had many jobs together, this was the first time where we both got hired separately without the other knowing. Somehow we can't seem to get rid of each other. Kiko will throw Maggie into a story. Maggie was in Kiko's ghost story.
A magic story too.
Oh yeah. Lots of powers at work in Kiko's.
Well, I say based on the precedent of the ghost story, that I can't just dismiss this as coincidence. There could be something cosmic going on here.
I think that we just put out job postings and like they're friends and they apply for the same stuff.
Oh, don't minimize it. Don't minimize it.
Come on, Kiko. This is not, I mean, like you said, you've worked together a lot before. It's just, this is the first time you didn't know it.
Yeah,
this
but,
is not,
but think about it, the name of the
this
company.
is just
name of the company is Mythical Entertainment.
Okay.
I mean, that alone
you're right.
it gets you thinking a little bit.
You're right, right. Two men.
These two men work who run it.
Two men. Willow Hub. I'm sorry, Kiko. You know what? That was pretty awesome.
I think it's awesome.
Willow Hub tweeted at us, once I got a piece of paper and wrote down what I would say if I was a teacher.
Okay.
I don't know if
but the specifics have not been provided.
I don't know if that's the result of an assignment or like a prompt. That class period, the teacher copied my exact words. It was almost like she was reading my paper. But of course she couldn't, because I still had it, I guess. I freaked out, and the recess, I was super nervous, and then at home I puked on the paper.
Okay, all right, there's a lot here, lots of moving parts.
Wrote down what she would say if she was a teacher, then the teacher just says what she's written down.
Look, I can't, I'm having a difficult time getting past just the first part of the story.
Yeah, writing down.
So like, okay, yeah. I'm just trying to picture this. You are-
Moving on, you wanna just move?
No, so-
You're not gonna figure it out.
You got a piece of paper and you write down what you would say if you were a teacher.
And then her teacher said that.
But I can't get past point one. Like, what is happening there?
What kind of if that's an assignment, what kind of assignment is that? It's like the teacher's like, you know what?
If it's an assignment, then that makes more sense.
I want all of you to write down what you think a teacher would say, so psychically I can steal it and it makes my job easier? If
it was an assignment, then the chances of coincidence go up significantly, right? Because you go like, imagine I don't know what grade this was. I can imagine what a 10th grader might think a teacher would say. No, if this is just a person who is just deciding on their own to just begin to write down things that teachers might say, what's going on there?
Yeah,
have you ever done anything like that? Have you ever just said, you know what, I wonder what a so-and-so might say.
I'm gonna write
it down on a sheet of paper.
Never, but maybe I should. Especially if I find that I have control over what then someone in that occupation says.
Yeah, if
I wonder what the president would say.
Here's the thing, Willow Hub. If it was a magic piece of paper, then you puked on it and you ruined it. That could have been the beginning of you living an incredible life where you could write things on this paper and then manipulate what people would say, and you just went home and puked on the paper and presumably then tossed it.
I would say either that.
That may have been your chance to live an incredible magical life.
Or just to be like a script writer. Because that's kind of what a script is.
Everything they say is something that then happens.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's what makes a
that's
writer
your calling,
being
Willow.
so awesome.
Like, good luck with your stomach issues, though. I just, you know what? I think this is a good stopping point.
No, I think we have to read the last one.
Oh,
we have to read the last one.
Puke.
No, we got to read
something about the gunk in the bottom of this stuff I've been drinking.
No, we have to read the last one because this is
I think you just want to say broke back bitch.
That is the name of the Twitter account, Brokeback Bitch.
Okay.
Oh, I was calling you Brokeback Bitch.
Fine, I call you that too all the time.
Years ago, planning to intern far from home that summer, I decided to rent a room online. A few weeks before I left, I had a very vivid dream about being there. When I arrived, I had a strong feeling I'd been in the room before, but shook it off, thinking of the dream. I assumed the photos from the listing informed the dream, but there were other details in the dream that weren't in the photos.
Okay.
For example, and this is all in the dream, I opened the nightstand drawer and saw a specific book, tangled earbuds, folded pieces of paper, and a Q-tip.
Used?
Doesn't say. When I was moving in weeks later, I opened the nightstand to put my things away. Inside was that same book, tangled earbuds, pieces of paper,
Q-tip,
and Q-tip in the exact same positions as my dream. It creeped me the hell out, and I still don't know what to make of it.
And that was the day that I became Brokeback Bitch.
The Brokeback Bitch origin story.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a superhero.
But what's the power? The power to predict what will be in a drawer?
I don't know. It's like there's definitely a wild horse involved. No saddle.
That's true. That's so you can bring it back to wild horses.
I haven't seen the movie, but I guess there's like, I don't know if somebody's gay, I think
at least two guys, two men. There's something here, okay? There's something here. Now, 4 objects positioned in a certain way.
I'm just caught up on I don't like the idea of opening a drawer and seeing a Q-tip. Even if you can't tell it's been used.
But it's a dream Q-tip.
Just no, but then it was real. And that's kind of, that's the weirdest part.
It came from a dream though.
Like why do you have like one Q-tip in a bedside drawer? That's disturbing. Like unless it was like coated in plastic, like in a plastic baggie or something.
Do you think this happened?
Let
me just ask you that.
Leave me behind in Q-tip land and keep going with the conjecture because I don't know what to do with this.
Well, there are there's a number of possibilities, but the 2 ones that I see are, number 1, everything happened as Brokeback Bitch has said it did, right? Meaning that this was the dream in the position, and then she saw in the drawer these specific things. What are the chances that that is exactly what happened? Now, I'm not questioning Brokeback Bitch's integrity here, because I do believe that Brokeback Bitch
is being honest. Okay, yeah.
Well, I'm just kind of saying, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. But because the other explanation is that in the moment of seeing the stuff inside the drawer, she sort of projected what she's seeing now back onto the memory as she accessed it, and accessed it in a way that made it seem as if they were the same. Scientifically, I don't know.
I think that's possible.
Process is.
I think, I mean, if there was a purpose to it, or there was some redemptive application to like, and that kept me from, blah, 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 or enabled me to blah, 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 blah. It's like, or was the first sign of my psychic abilities through dreams. It's
Or is there something about the specific book, which again, all we see is
devoid of purpose.
Is it just a specific book, or what is the specific book? Should you have taken action? Should you have taken the Tangled earbuds, unplug them, plug them directly into the end of the Q-tip? Maybe something would have played.
I would have cleaned out my ears with the Q-tip, then put the earbuds in and
read the book. And then used the folded pieces of paper to take notes on the book.
But when you think about, what I didn't want to get to was what I'm about to say.
Well, good.
There's so many, anything that can happen in some point across all parallel universes does happen. All the coinky dinks and miraculous things that line up, it's just like odds, like statistics dictate that it's gonna happen. Like if you've got the whole, like, I don't know, the more you study evolution, the more you start to think that, I think about that analogy of like all these like monkeys typing on a keyboard and like, and if you have enough monkeys typing, then you're gonna get Shakespeare. Is that what it is?
Yeah, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Okay.
I'm not smart enough to figure it out. So, but, yeah.
Can you dream random things in a drawer and then it just, it could happen. It could be a total coincidence. Could it mean something more to you, and could it be an indication of some sort of prescient knowledge?
I have a dream coincidence
but there's no purpose to it.
I've told the story before.
Does there need to be purpose to it?
I'm probably gonna get the details wrong. I probably told the story like 3 times now, but the story about my wife and I dreaming about the same little blonde girl.
Yes, blonde girl.
And then waking up at the same time, freaked out, and both of us having just had a nightmare that featured this little blonde girl. In my situation, she was in an elevator, or she was in a room that an elevator opened up into, and then Jesse, I can't remember Jesse's situation. I told the story in more detail in the past. And I don't know, me and Jesse were pretty freaked out for a couple of days, but that was kind of that's sort of the end of it. It
didn't keep happening.
I never ran into a little blonde girl.
It wasn't a revelation of something, some connection or some ability or.
Well, but I do think that I am open to the idea. First of all, again, I don't want to be overly reductionistic. So I am open to the idea that there is something, that dreams are not just simply your brain sort of rearranging itself and shuffling through your thoughts as you sleep. Is that the most likely thing that's happening? Yeah, but who cares? Who's interested in most likely, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, is it really fun to just believe the most likely thing for everything? Or is it more fun to believe that, I don't know, there's some kind of connection between the real world and the dream world, and some people have some insight into that, and like, let's lean into that. Who's gonna get hurt if we lean into that a little bit? I'm interested in that. I mean, you got the way that the, sort of the native people from Australia and the way that they experience the dream world, and I haven't looked into this very much, but it's very, very significant. It's essentially the sort of like the foundation of the religion, as far as I understand, is the fact that there's this dream world, and I don't know, maybe Brokeback Bitch, like, broke through into the dream sphere. And we're just sitting here on a podcast talking about it, making light of it, saying that it's probably just she went back and accessed a memory and made it up in her mind. Well, maybe Brokeback Bitch broke through, man. Maybe that's what happened.
Who are we to say?
Do you believe?
Who are we to say? Okay, fine. Magic.
I'm open to it, but I have never been scared by a little blonde girl in real life.
Or in your dream again.
She hasn't come back to the dreams for either of us.
If you would have responded to our prompt on Twitter using hashtag earbiscuits, we could have been talking about you this episode. So be on the lookout for those. Follow us on Twitter @Mythical. We're gonna keep putting out these things periodically where you can give us stuff to talk about. And then if you want to keep talking to us and respond to this, use hashtag earbiscuits.
Do you have a rec for us?
Oh crap, I forgot about the rec. It's a show on Netflix that Lily gets into all this murder stuff. And of course, I never got on the murder wave. I never got on the murderer or the serial killer wave. Like I'm not into that. Like I just don't, that's too hard hitting for me. But I did agree to sit down and watch because Lily talked Christy into watching I Am a Killer. Yeah,
the interviews.
On Netflix where they interview people who are, committed murderers and they tell their stories, and then it's the approach to it is mesmerizing and very creepy, but also very insightful. I'm gonna recommend episode 1 of season 2 because they were talking about it so much that I had to go watch it. Now, it's not for everybody, and if you don't wanna stare into the dark soul of a killer through her eyes, and actually I quoted it last week when I was talking about, I don't want to spoil it here. I'm not gonna tell you the specific quote because it spoils the experience.
Okay.
We've watched a number of the episodes, but an amazing presentation of this particular convicted murderer's story and the way that it unfolds. It really draws you in and gets you to assess it yourself and come to your own conclusions. That's kind of how the series is set up. I don't know that you want to watch all of them unless you're really into the psyche of murderers, but the first one of season 2 is really great. That isolated episode in and of itself is just worth watching.
Really building it up.
Yeah, it's wild.
I Am a Killer by No Coincidence.
On Netflix.
All right, we'll talk to you next week.
To watch more Ear Biscuits, click on the playlist on the right.
To watch the previous episode of Ear Biscuits, click on the playlist to the left.
And don't forget to click on the circular icon to subscribe.
If you prefer to listen to this podcast, it's available on all your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks for being your mythical best.